Good morning, everyone. Lately, I've been doing a series of videos where I look at the least used characters in the Tekken roster to learn about them, to see what makes them tick, and hopefully even inspire a person or two to try these characters out. And today I want to have a look at Lucky Chloe. Now, this is a pretty divisive character design. When she was revealed, many people were upset because it's so obviously not the kind of aesthetic that most fighting game players respond to. She's kind of icky and sticky and Japanesey, and many people probably feel that if you like this kind of character, you deserve to be on some sort of list. And Harada wasn't happy with that feedback, and he said, you know, maybe next time I'll give you a big, scary, muscly guy with a skinhead haircut. And eventually we got Fakum Lam, so I guess maybe these characters are related in that way. But Chloe has some really interesting stuff under the hood. I think there are some great ideas that have gone into this character design, and that's what I want to talk about here. I think the day Chloe was born, you know, when they started making her in the office or whatever, somebody had this crazy and interesting idea of what if there was a music or rhythm-based Tekken character. There are these rhythm-based games, you know, like Dance Dance Revolution or Donkey Konga, but what if we try and bring mechanics like that into Tekken? It's a very interesting idea. It's a novel concept. There's no other character that does something like it. We do have moves that have to be performed with specific timing in Tekken. We call those just frames, but just frames and specific timing is different from, you know, rhythm timing. And it just had me thinking of, you know, somebody sitting in the room practicing just frames and J.K. Simmons standing over them screaming, you know, were you rushing or were you dragging? Or are you gonna do Electric Wind Godfist perfectly? And you're crying all over your fight stick going, I'm upset, because you can't do it. Yeah, but it's a fun, really cool idea. And I think the point where they might have gone astray a little bit is, at least in my own opinion, when I think about great dancing, I don't necessarily think about Japanese pop idols and music. And that's not a kind of music that I enjoy personally, so I might be biased here, but they do dance on stage with these like coordinated, you know, pop dance, but it's not necessarily athletic. It doesn't look powerful to me. And it also doesn't have, you know, steady, like, kind of consistent beat to that sort of music. And if they had gone, you know, more like into, for example, hip-hop or EDM, those happen to be my two favorite genres of music, so again, bias on my part. But you have a steady beat, you have a clear aesthetic with, you know, clothes and stuff that go with it, but you also have a dancing style that feels like it might lend itself more to a sort of martial artist fighting on stage, you know? People feel like, why should these, like, little cat hands of Chloe be able to even harm a character like fucking Rum? He would obviously snap her in half if they ever met, you know, for real. But, you know, breakdancing moves maybe, or like a cool, like, rave chick, you know, with big headphones, who goes out into an alley and does shuffle dancing, something like that. And she does shuffle and she does breakdance, so I think they could have done that. You know, less Pikmin, more P&O3, if you remember that very old game. I also think a really cool idea would have been to just put a couple of headphones on her. She has those cat ear things that I guess are sort of like headphones, and then have her listen to actual music. You could just have like a really slight faint beat in the background that she's nodding her head to. So even though the music isn't playing on the screen, we know that Chloe's listening to really loud music and her feet are like moving to it. That would have been so awesome. And I'm kind of surprised that we have characters like Leroy who have their own theme song, you know, their own music, but we have a music-based character who doesn't have her own song, and she doesn't have a stage in the game where she's performing on stage and fans are watching. That feels like an obvious choice to me. So I feel like Lucky Chloe is actually a design with immense potential that could have been extremely cool, to the point where even the Western audiences who aren't into the Japanese, you know, kawaii stuff would have really loved her. But then again, when you make the next game in the Tekken series, that's something that you could change easily. You know, all of a sudden Lucky Chloe's into, like, I don't know, heavy metal, and she has a different aesthetic and different clothes, and it could work really well. So, I mean, design-wise, visually, I think there's a lot of room for this character to grow, and I hope that the controversy around her and the fact that she hasn't been super popular in this game means that we don't get to see her in the next one, because I would love to see this idea sort of evolved. I want to talk about these music or rhythm-based aspects of the character when it comes to the move list. I think they've done it in really interesting ways. I think they've done it the best ways they could have, even though, again, I think there's some room to like explore a little bit more. But before that, I want to talk about the fact that something that a lot of people sleep on with this character is the fact that her exceptionally good frame data. There are some super solid moves in here, and so if you can learn to love the way Chloe looks and sounds, there are plenty of reasons to actually play her. So if we have a look at some of these generic fantastic tools of hers, the down forward one, you know, this is my favorite notation in Tekken, and when a character has a good down forward one, it makes me like them more, and this one is fantastic. Minus 1 on block is very good. Plus 7 on hit is also above average. You have a nice big hitbox. It's low and scoopy. It just works really well. This is such a good mid poke that if you're using this properly, that's like half of your poking game already like finished. You don't have to worry about that much else. But you can add your absolutely amazing jab string. I love this thing. I would love to have this on some of the characters I play. Excuse me. The one jab, by the way, is her poking you with a finger. I didn't realize that until I made this video. Elisa does the same thing. But this one too, even though the range isn't amazing, it's decent, you know. And the great thing about it is that the second hit is mid, which means that this is just a super safe and nice little jab string you can poke at the opponent with. And if you get a hit, because it's a 2-hit string, it's easy to confirm, and then you can work off of that plus 7 on hit, which is great. If you do get blocked, it's only minus 4. So I think this jab string is amazing. You couple that with this down forward one, and then you add your standing 4, which is your fish hook, to the mix. Minus 9 plus 2, so below average or sort of average fish hook frame data. That's why I was so excited about Lei when we looked at his, because that is so amazing for the frame data. But those 3 moves, and then all you need is a couple of lows and you're pretty much done for poking, you know? And I want to ask you Chloe players out there, what do you like for lows? What do you harass the legs with? Because I love down 3 in terms of the range and animation, impact, speed, but this is minus 17 on block, so it feels kind of iffy to me, you know, a little bit on the slow side. I think the best low she has might actually be down back 3. That goes into one of her dance stances, and the thing about this move is that there are all kinds of things that connect to it, and you do get plus 8 on hit. If you have plus 8 on hit on this 15 frame to impact low, it basically means guaranteed mix-ups if you're applying it properly. Unless the opponent has like really good ways of option selecting out and stuff, and that's something that you really have to lab in depth. But look at this, plus 8. And then one thing that John Ding does, and he's, you know, probably the most prolific and talented Chloe player that we know of in the entire world, he'll do this and then go into this fantastic jab string like that, and then you know, unsafe but more powerful with I don't know if this has wall bounce. Let's find out. Okay, it does, so that's great, but that's minus 11 on block. And then you have the homing move high to discourage people from stepping. So go into that off of this and mix people up. It's great. You can go into back turn and do your back turn moves, and you have this. Let's talk about back turn next, actually. But for poking, I think you're like way above average, really strong, and I think down back 3 would be my go-to low. You just have to get used to the fact that you have to mix from stance like every time you do a fast low, if you really want to use this move, and you don't get crush properties either. But back turn, I think, is good with Chloe. We have a bunch of back turn characters in the game, and some of them, you know, they just turn their back to the opponent, but because they can't scare the opponent with back turn and keep them honest, they become very vulnerable. But Chloe has some pretty good stuff. I think the main mix-up is going to be your down 3 plus 4, and you get guaranteed while standing 3 after that for a total of 40 damage. So it's a very scary low that really enables this mix-up. Its only weakness is the 23 frames to impact, which can be seen sometimes, but especially online, I think you're going to get away with it most of the time. And then you can mix that with all kinds of things. A new mid that you have here is the 2, and this is a new great powerful counter hit launcher for her from back turn, which I think she needed. It's one of those options that discourages people from swinging into the back turn, and because you have plus 8 when you transition from down back 3, and this is 18, very few things are going to be able to contend with this on that transition, so I think that's cool. And then, you know, you have, like I said, all kinds of moves, but you also have the option of, you know, California rolling, and they have to really respect this roll. They have to super respect the California roll because it connects to one of the highest damage launchers in all of Tekken. Look at this. This is 58 damage on the launch, so she can do more damage with the launching part of her combo than Kazumi can do with pretty much her entire combo. So this is like if you hit with this when the opponent, or when you are in rage rather, the round is pretty much over. I mean, they can have mixed you up like a million times and been super successful, but if it becomes your turn and you hit with this, it's just over. It's so powerful. So I think her back turn is pretty cool. The one vulnerability of Chloe that I really notice when I play online, what I capitalize on to beat her, is that I think she's very linear on the approach. People love this slash kick, and they should. It's very good, +6, you know. But it's easy to walk. The California roll is easy to walk. And so she can be linear, and keep that in mind when you're trying to close the gap, you know. She has this new low that I reset the positioning like this. I do one backdash, and then I do a triple input into this. Look how fast this comes out. It's honestly surprisingly, like, deceptively fast, and I can really see this confusing people on the approach. And then you can mix in like this, for example. Another forward input and a really solid mid that is safe on block as far as I remember. Yeah, -6 on the 4-4-3. So, yeah, like I said, you might think this is like a weird gimmick character who isn't very good. I think she's so underestimated, because just look objectively at the numbers and there's solid stuff. You just need to work with these sometimes pretty awkward stances, like this one and then the back turn. But honestly, it's not that complex. If you compare her to something like Eddie, which she, you know, a character she gets compared to, this is much simpler to use and operate. I want to talk a little bit about these interesting music gimmicks that they put on the character, because I think they're cool. When you have a gimmick that's like super characteristic for your Tekken character, and you really want to lift that to the forefront, I think there are a couple of ways you can do it. One is to tie it to their rage art. They do the same thing with Zafina. You know, she uses the hand. And Chloe, like I showed in the beginning, if you press your kick buttons with good timing, with good rhythm rather, she will sing her name, then do an uppercut for extra damage, which I think is a fun idea and well balanced, and it brings that gimmick of the character into, you know, these cinematic moments, which is cool. And then the other two things I think you can do is you can tie the rhythm mechanic to your optimal combos. Again, they do the same thing with Zafina with the hand because of the Cursed Crow. And you can tie it to their fast and genuinely useful block punishment. That makes sure that these rhythm moves don't become like an obscure part of the move list that people don't explore. And they've done all of these three things, right? So let's talk about the combos first. I think is really sad is the few times when I do play against Chloe online, people tend to do this combo. And this is 3 down forward ones into 4-2-1 +2, which is super easy to do, like a no-brainer. It doesn't lead to good combo damage, though. If you finish that combo in the open, you're going to get like 57, 58 maybe, if you substitute 1 down forward, 1 for a back 4. So it's kind of a low damage combo, but it's really easy to do. It has the wall carry built in. It's like super simple, but they have given Chloe another spin move that utilizes her rhythm mechanic, and I'm not good at doing it. I haven't practiced it, but let's try and show it here. There we go. See how much more damage that is? It has the rhythm mechanic built. This character seem to neglect to actually capitalize on that because it's so good. And they've actually nerfed, as far as I recall, her other spin moves, and I think it's to make sure that you actually use this. They want to emphasize this part of your design. And another aspect of Chloe where they have tried to emphasize that part is the block punishment, like I mentioned earlier, because you have the 2-2 with her, which is her 12 frame. This is how you punish hop kicks with the character. Might look kind of low damage, but if you do this with good timing now, and this is such a cool and interesting buff. Look at this. Let's see if I can do it. There you go. She's going to sing Lucky, and then she's going to knock you down and do extra damage. And it becomes very powerful in wall splats and everything. I've lost the ability to do it now, though. I did it the first 2 times. Anyway, it's not a... There we go. It's not a difficult just trim. I've practiced it a little bit, but it's something you're going to be able to do with like 100% consistency if you play Chloe. And the only criticism I have of this, I think it's a great idea, is that it only does 30 damage and a knockdown when you nail it. And if you talk about, for example, Fuckum Ram, who just came out, he has more range, higher damage, and a knockdown on his 12 frame. But he doesn't have to do a just frame or anything. He just does his move, you know? There are a lot of characters like that. And so if Chloe needs to do something specific and difficult to do her best punish, I think she should be rewarded with even better properties. Maybe give her even more damage. Maybe give her, I don't know, something guaranteed on the floor. Just something, you know, throw in a little bit of a reward for being, you know, cool and doing the proper thing. So yeah, those are like the main parts of the character that use the rhythm mechanic. There are a couple of others where she can do the lucky version of the breakdance move and stuff like that. But yeah, really cool. The final thing I'm going to mention about Chloe is that I love her counter hit game, and I think it's stronger than most people would assume. This back 4 is good. It's 16 frames to impact, but apart from that, it's very good. Great range. But the best one might actually be your 3-4. Have a look at this. That's a counter hit confirm. It's very easy to do. You have a lot of time, you know. Fuckabrum is the second option, all guard. So let's see how slow I can do it and make him block. Still hits. Okay, and he's going to start blocking it around there. So it's not a difficult confirm to do. You're 15 frames to impact, and you get a massive combo when you do it. 15 frames for counter hit mids is like what you want. It's the fastest they usually show up at. So very, very good. Then you also have, of course, your super high-powered breakdance launcher and give you massive damage as well. So, yeah. And let's not forget 14 frame while standing launcher that is not like iffy like Miguel. Super solid and super good. She has a bunch of while standing launchers. Like 3 different ones. Good counter hits from full crouch. This really interesting mid. Yeah, so bunch of cool stuff. I'm gonna like stop myself unless I... otherwise, I'm just going to sit here talking for like hours. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you give Chloe a shot. I think she's awesome. I think there are some really cool aspects to her. I love this new idol animation that she actually dances when she stands on the stage. It's annoying when you end up with her as your partner in the lobby because you're just trying to hang out and she's being loud. But it's another cool way of like bringing some flavor. And I think they've done it very well. I just wish they had gone with a different genre of music. I think that would have been more appealing to more people, but who knows. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm really enjoying making these videos for you lately. There's been a beautiful like sort of response from the community lately, and it's inspired me to want to make a lot more stuff, so more on the way. Thank you very much. See you guys again very soon.